Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so excited for this one. I have the honor to have an amazing, amazing person and not a stranger. We've had an interview before. So you guys are in for a treat today. This one was an impromptu Monday Momentum topic that I wanted to bring to you. Gingerbread houses. We're going to talk about gingerbread houses, and you might wonder, okay, what's happening here? Bear with me. We're going to talk gingerbread houses. We're going to talk gingerbread houses with a hyper local spin. We're going to talk gingerbread houses with a philanthropy spin. We're going to talk gingerbread houses and how they started, and I am so excited for this one. And we're going to do it all in the next 20 to 30 minutes. So if you are doing other things, try to listen in because you're going to have a lot of fun stuff happening right now. So let's dive in. Do you want to introduce yourself real quick?
I'm Leanne Zumbrunnen with Z-Touch Design, and I'm in the Kansas City area. So this is a national show.
This is national. And the cool thing why I love to have you on there too, like I get your emails, and I just told you before we went live, they are my favorite emails in the inbox. And we get a lot of emails, but I look forward to her emails. And one of the cool things that you offer with your design studio is also like digital remakes and like so many cool things, which you can serve agents nationally.
Yes, I can.
Like that's like an amazing touch on that end. So I'm excited. Let's talk a little bit about gingerbread houses because there's always this like contest for real estate agents, right? The really traditional ones. Submit your picture of your gingerbread house. But the email I received from you, and I'm going to just blend it in for people to see, because the email I got from you showcased, and if somebody's looking at your background, they can totally see it because
I thought I'd put it there.
I love it. I'm like, what you created was just absolutely like amazing. So this one right here is the home that is sitting behind you. And it's
except I added snow to the trees. I went, oh my gosh, I don't have any snow on the trees and they're on the windows. It's not cohesive.
It's not cohesive. I love that. You got like so carried away with this too. It's like, oh my gosh. So this is not just any gingerbread house. Tell us about this home, first of all. Like, whose house is this?
This is my home. So I've never done it before. I've made my own home. So, I mean, it's just my home. And I always thought one of these days I'm going to do my home, but I had just never kind of taken on the challenge because there are some dormers there in different directions. And I just didn't know if I wanted to go there. But this year I was ready to tackle it.
This is amazing. I'm like, if anybody's seen like, gingerbread houses, you're like, okay, they all look a little wonky. And then there's this one. And first of all, it's not gingerbread. So let's start off a little bit on what sparked you to start creating these kind of homes. And then we'll go into the creation process of it. And at the end of it, I'm going to give you guys the hyper local spin of how you can use this and turn it into a massive visibility campaign for your business.
Yeah, great idea. Well, I don't think I ever built a gingerbread house when I was a kid. And I was working with a bunch of women who had a gingerbread making party. And she said, have your house made before you get there. And she's the one that suggested we make it out of cardboard. They said, if you don't want to do it with gingerbread, because that's a lot more time and it's a lot heavier, you can make it out of cardboard. So the very first time I made one was probably 20, 30 years ago, maybe. And so she told us all to bring our cardboard houses or whatever we had to the house undecorated, and that we were all going to share our candies. Everybody bring anything they thought would work on a gingerbread house. And that was my first one. And then I think just a couple years later, I had my daughter. And then when she was a little bit older, I have 4 kids. And when they were younger, we started having a gingerbread night where each kid would make their own gingerbread houses. And of course, you take a picture of them when they were done, and it just kind of progressed. And as the kids got older, the boys dropped off first in the decorating, then the girls, and then eventually nobody's decorating, but I still wanted to do it. So I would make a house and maybe do it with my nieces, and they would help me. So if you were to turn this gingerbread house around me, turn it around, you notice the whole completely backside is unfinished because I'm waiting for my daughter to come back in town and my nieces to help me finish it.
On the backside, so we know all now who is the person that is really particular in the family.
I know. And I was really good. As long as kids had their own houses and I had my own house, I wouldn't be hovering over them going, oh, you could straighten that line out a little bit. So I had to keep myself busy with a gingerbread house.
I totally get that. It's, like I get excited, I think sometimes more than some of my family members when it comes to Christmas. Like,
oh, I totally
this tree was up, Black Friday, because this is what I do. Like, my Christmas music is playing, my glühwein is in the microwave. I'm like, I'm a happy camper. My kids are like, whatever. And I'm like, you guys are missing out on this. I'm like, but that's okay.
Yeah. And then, when they get a little bit older, sometimes they're into it, and you just never know when it's going to strike, but they'll remember all the decorations and the things you do, I'm sure.
Oh, I surely hope so. And if not, at least I had fun, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I want to show a couple pictures of the building process, and maybe we'll just talk a little bit about the construction process itself, because this is, not your average gingerbread house. This is definitely taking a little bit. So cardboard, you already highlighted that part.
Yeah, and those are just scraps I have. When we have leftover cardboard boxes, I just kind of cut them down and slide them in the fridge next to the refrigerator out in the garage. So we had everything here. I wouldn't suggest this being quite your first house unless you're detailed and don't get overwhelmed by that. I mean, some people I would tackle that like for my first gingerbread, just because people think I'm crazy. But this one, because it had so many roof lines, it was more about building it and then figuring out the roof lines. But I learned that what I did was took a picture of my house, a straight on picture of my house, and then I traced the shapes. And then from that, I could calculate at least the proportions of all that on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, and either print it out or just measure it from those. So I had the gable end on the left and the little dormer on the right, and I had those all measured out. The rest from the sides back, that was kind of a guesstimate to put it all together. But the starting point, having the front of your house, obviously is the key to get things started. And that some of those pieces, then I also learned you want to cover the base, the bottom of it, with foil before you start gluing things down. I used hot glue because why use up your frosting doing that when hot glue will probably hold it together better and faster. If anybody's done a real gingerbread house, royal icing is soft for a while, and they always recommend when you get a kit to let it sit overnight. Well, this is set in, a minute, whatever it is. So that's the key. And then because I did cardboard, instead of using broken crushed candy, like hard candies like Jolly Ranchers for the windows, which you would use if you did baked it, I just found some translucent yellow paper at Joann's or Hobby Lobby or something to put in the window so that I could light it up. So on the, one of my batteries must be going out, but you can kind of see a light on one of the sides behind me. But I just have little puck lights that you can buy that have a remote control, and you can change the color on them. So before I covered that base up there, I cut 2 holes so I could just lay it on top of these puck lights, and then I can change the lighting to whatever colors I want. So it's just fun to have that little glow in the lights inside.
I didn't know it was something that lit up. Like, I am just learning about it now. This is amazing.
I don't know if you can see this side. This battery must be getting low on this side, but this side, can you see that there's a light on in there?
Let's see. I'm gonna try and spotlight you.
Here.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know if you can see that those lights have come on right here. This battery must be going out on this side because I have 2 holes underneath, but there's some lighting right there. And it's just one of those battery operated puck lights. And so I cut a hole in the bottom of the board so that I could just like lay them right on top.
That's amazing. I'm like, this is so cool.
It just adds that little, little extra something.
It is a little extra.
Yeah. And so it's, if you go to the next, so I'm that's the basics that I do of building it. Sometimes I just scored like on a corner, I would just score it and then bend it instead of cutting actual every little piece that you had to glue every corner together. If you have one flat area that you can just score it and bend it back to, to a 90-degree angle, you can
That's
do that.
how we got many of the roof lines potentially, or
on the roof lines, it's scored as well. I mean, it's just one big square, and I scored it down the middle and bent it and put the glue on, not on the roof line, but on the walls themselves. Because if you you'd have to be in the exact right place if you put the glue on the roof line. So you put it on the walls themselves.
And then I see you did put some, pencil marks.
I did do some little pencil markings there. Yeah, on that side I did. Some parts I just I was winging it, and the other parts I just started. Yeah, you can see where.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
So I did try to somewhat keep to our house. We do have a brick on the right side on that dormer piece that goes all the way down to the first floor, and there's brick on either side of the garage door. But I have a paneled garage door, so I thought it doesn't stand out amongst the bricks. So I ended up filling those little squares in to make it, it's probably not very many gingerbread houses that have a garage door on them. But since it was my own house, I put the garage door.
I think I don't mind it at all. I think it actually is like, really adding to it. And then do you have like the ornate gables there, or is that just an added touch for the gingerbread house appeal?
Or the ornate parts on the dormers, you mean?
Yeah.
No, we just have siding there.
Got
it's
it.
just very plain.
Creative.
So when my kids looked at it, I thought, well, you recognize it, right? Because I thought with so much candy and all the ornate stuff, they might not recognize their own house, but they went, of course, Mother, we recognize it.
Love it. So let's talk about the white stuff. Is that actual icing, or is that glue, or what is it?
It's royal icing, which is, if I can remember correctly, it's this, they come with the kits, but it gets very hard. This recipe is 3 cups powdered sugar with 2 egg whites and I think it was a 1/3 cup of meringue powder. And then you draw it out, and within, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, it's hard. And then in an hour, it's hard as a rock. Cool. So once you glue things together, it's pretty gluey. And those egg whites is a big key to making it turn really hard.
Interesting. Okay. So this is super cool.
And and I wanted to make note, and I did in our notes, is that I finally learned, this is my first year, to do all that decorating while it's all flat before I glued everything. I did what I could before I glued everything together. So you're drawing on a table, which is much easier than holding your hand upright and having the frosting touch the cardboard just right so you don't smash it. And so that's a huge key. I would highly recommend, if you have pieces, just do all the decorating, whatever you can, laying flat before you let it get all hard, and then glue it all together. And you can color this frosting. I just like the look of white frosting on gingerbread. I leave all my color to candy for the most part, but you can color the frosting and put the little dots around the windows in different colors, or use little round candies to make the colors.
That's awesome. That's a good tip. So do it while lying flat.
Yes.
And much after.
Yes, so much easier.
All right, then let's talk about the grand finale of, oh my goodness, I don't even know what to, like, there's even like icicles dripping down from your roof line.
That's the key to me to look like a true gingerbread house, is have that frosting. And that's just a matter of, first thing you'll notice is I've made sure all the edge of the cardboard are covered with the icing, because that's the dead giveaway that it's cardboard. So any exposed edges, so you can see the inside where it's corrugated, is covered with icing. And then once I'll put a bead of icing all the way along that gable edge, and then you just kind of squish the icing and pull it and let go as you're pulling down. You just squeeze and then let go, and it'll eventually taper. And you just want to make sure that they're uneven. I see people make it perfectly. The icicles are all the same length, and then it doesn't look quite right. It doesn't look natural. And then the railing, so we have a balcony. We don't have a railing that's ornate like that, but that once again is royal icing that I did on wax paper. Wait till it got hard, and then I just kind of glued it to those candy canes in between. And you could do that if you have areas that you want to decorate or you forgot to decorate. You could draw it on a piece of wax paper, let it harden, and then just glue it onto your gingerbread house.
That is such a good idea. And then we got candy canes.
Candy canes I found stick candy canes, but you could break it off. Yeah. I used an X-Acto knife to cut the right length for those posts. And the greenery is just those, I think they're minty jellied candies. They were old and stale, and I still use them because they look fine. Yeah, and then the Christmas tree, typically, if you're to use gingerbread house and everything has to be edible, it would be an upside down ice cream cone. But I didn't want to have ice cream cones around the house, because then I would have this vicious cycle of feeling like I have to have ice cream to put in it. So I just took a piece of not cardboard, but heavy stock paper, and just turned it into a cone. And then that is royal icing that I did color. I took some of my leftover and colored it green. And so I kind of iced it from the bottom, so that like shingles, you start at the bottom and then you layer up. Like on the roof, you start at the very bottom of the roof line and then move up to the top of the roof line, so that the shingles lay on top of each other.
So what are the shingles made out of?
Necco wafers. My sister just picked me up. The only place I've really had consistent good luck on finding those is the Dollar Tree. And so my sister ran to a few stores by her for me so that we can finish the back. But Necco wafers that have been around for, seems like forever, since the 30s or something. But to me, that's my favorite part. But you can use, people use wheat thins. Some people use the shredded wheat cereal to make it look more cottagey, like a cottage in the wood. They use wheat thins. Some people just take the ice, the royal icing, and just pipe little round scallops edge, which, if you're making a whole bunch of them, that right there, what you can see is probably 5 to 6 packages of Necco wafers. So if you don't find enough Necco wafers, or you just want to do the quicker, less expensive route, you can pipe on the roof shingles.
I just
see there. That's where I filled in the panels on the garage, so it kind of stood out a little bit more from the brick on each side.
I love the color. Like, just alone, the color is awesome.
Yeah, and then in the windows, I tend to put like snow in each corner. Like if you had wind and snow kind of settles in the corner, anything to make it look snowy, I think makes it look more gingerbread, more magical.
It is.
And then I have
one. I'm just blown away looking at it. I want to live there.
And like I said, the royal icing's like glue. I just glued on those little jelly. They were big leaves, I guess. Some, the ones in front of the columns, I laid horizontal. The one in front of the window, I laid vertical. And then I just had some green candies. I thought, I'll just stick those in. Those are smaller bushes, and but not a whole lot. And the little beads, the size is key. I had those left over from the gingerbread kits, where they're little beads, like more like BB size, and they're just the perfect size. And you just bead some frosting in and squish them in. And sometimes if you have those like big tweezers, that helps to be able to pick up the little beads to stick in the frosting.
That's awesome.
I'm trying to think.
I can only applaud you for, the effort. Let's talk a little bit about time commitment, and then we'll go into visibility strategies. So when did you start? When did you finish? And how does that look like for you?
I'm pretty sure I was done in a couple days. I think I started on the cardboard. Who knows? I just get that wild hair, might be 9 o'clock at night. But I think for the most part, I worked on the cardboard for a while. I would say 8 to 10 hours overall. So if you have a full day to do it, that would be awesome. But yeah, plan on some time. And I forget that the backside is not decorated. So there's still more time left. So to do the entire thing, which you want to, because wherever you, chances are, like anywhere I put it, both sides are going to be seen.
Right. All right.
So yeah, 8 to 10 hours, I guess. Or
So I got
probably
a couple
more.
thoughts on visibility strategy, because I'm all things hyper
Right.
local and all things,
Right.
how can we utilize that? And when I saw that, the first thing I thought was, oh my gosh, how, gingerbread contests. How many times did you see an agent say, post a picture of your gingerbread house? The one with the most votes gets, $50 gift card or whatever people give away, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, okay, how can we take this but turn it into something much more hyper local, much more visibility, and totally fun? And so my thought was, what if we take a house inside the neighborhood? Now, I live in a cookie cutter neighborhood where there's, 10 models or something. So I could put up the models for vote, or I can just pick one. And in the process, I can have them, tell them about the model, but then I can do it live. And I
Uh-huh.
would probably get the cardboard prepped to do it, because I would do the entire house live. Just because I think it would be interesting for people to see the process, to come check back on it. And people naturally share things that they're interested in. So if this is something that we're currently making, this and this model in this and this neighborhood, you'd be surprised how many people. I mean, if this is the end result, I highly doubt mine's going to turn out like this.
You never know. You might have found that creative thing that you're going to, I'm doing this every year. This is so fun.
Well, and that's kind of what I'm thinking. So if I start doing, like, let's say that one model for my neighborhood, and people are going to start seeing it, they're going to start sharing it into the group. The people in the group are going to watch it. They're going to come back to it. And seeing this creation, take shape in front of we're talking about a 6 to 8 hour live video. And yes, you better have everything prepped and ready to go.
Uh-huh.
And I think you can really gain a massive amount of views, of shares, of visibility without using the word. If you have any referrals or looking for anybody to buy or sell, right? Like, without any of this. I mean, you can wear a logo shirt while you do it. You can wear like an apron that has your company name on it if you really want. You can have sponsored by at the bottom of it. Like, do whatever you want with that one. But I think you have an opportunity for people to be like, hey, this is my model. This is like, they're connecting with it. And that alone, I think you can get a lot of views, a lot of interest. And then you have a video that you can chop up, do something with, turn it into a small little, 2-3 minute thing with super speedy, whatever they do.
Right. Then you have both those exposures, the people that have time to check in and watch it, or the people that wouldn't stay but would watch maybe a 2-minute video, watch the progression of it. Yeah. Then you have
for sure. And you said there's a community out there of, these people with crazy, intricate gingerbread houses.
Oh, yeah, there is for sure.
So
I don't know any personally around here, but like I was mentioning to you, I know that there's often displays in every city where you can go see a bunch of them. I know that there's a shopping district that I think each store had a gingerbread house display, and then they would auction them off and donate the proceeds to a children's home around here. And I'm sure every location has something similar to that, or you can start one yourself.
Absolutely. And so if you're thinking about, if you are actually confident enough, people would love to have a gingerbread display for the holidays of their model sitting in their home, you could have them bid on this home just for fun. Even if somebody just bids, $50 or whatever, right? Even if somebody just bids $5.
I feel like they would go higher than that. I feel like they'd go a lot higher than that.
Probably. For yours, yes.
Oh.
But it's such a good strategy to bring real estate together with the holidays in a way that is also combining social media, with video, with hyper local. I'm like, it's like a big melting pot of everything. And I feel like it would be an absolute winning strategy. So I'm currently working on getting my husband, who is a contractor. So that should be interesting.
Oh, that will help a lot, because I told you in my notes, my husband would come by and say, it's a steeper pitch than that on that gable end. And he'd go, oh, those windows, one is a little bit bigger than the other. And I'd have to go, there is no code inspectors in gingerbread houses. But he should be able to build it pretty easily. And since you have mid-century modern, you can go a whole different route. My house is kind of traditional, so I went the more traditional, but since yours is mid-century, you can make it, totally different. Have that mid-century look, but use different candies.
Right. And this would be the first house he actually wants to make. And I'm like, okay, I guess we're gonna, we'll see. So we're still working out the logistics of it, but we would attempt a 7-8 hour live. And, we're not going to filter it. We're just going to see what happens. Because him and I, we have very different, we have the same personality, which is very headstrong. I think it would be also like entertainment for people to just, yeah, that's stuff my husband would say. And yeah, that's
exactly. People could relate to a lot of it, I'm sure.
So, right. So I feel like there's so many benefits with it. Even if you end up with a project that just, slightly looks like a gingerbread house, you had a lot of fun doing it, and you got out there and you were personal with people. So I think there's a lot of cool stuff that can come from it, and I hope one day I have a gingerbread house like yours sitting in my house, and everybody kind of come over, admire it, and all that stuff. I think it's a genius idea. I think it's a totally different and new twist to the gingerbread house trend that we have seen a lot of times. You see it out there, but it's always the same. And while it's cute, I'm like, let's do it a little differently.
And I know some people have client events every year, and they, donuts with Santa, or, they could do a gingerbread decorating and have one that they've created, or they have the winner there on display, whoever got chosen. You're right. There is a lot you could do for the holidays with it.
Absolutely. So, all right. Well, that was amazing. I cannot thank you enough for sharing all those tips, tricks, and I think we're gonna attempt it. I'm gonna keep you posted.
I can't wait to see it.
I want to send you like yours versus the Pinterest fail. It's gonna be fun.
But I have a feeling, especially if your husband's a builder and you're in real estate, it'll come out phenomenal.
Let's hope so. So if anybody is wanting to get in touch with you with any of your services that you provide nationally, which is not gingerbread house services, which is all about interior design, decorating, especially your online resources that you have for changing an entire curb appeal from a house. And that's one of my favorite things that you do. It's, you take a house, it looks bland.
It is fun. It's turning, they're not necessarily ugly ducklings. Some of them are, but some of them, they're just nice house, but they want to change. So yeah, that's my favorite part. Well, I have my phone number, but I also have ztouchdesign.com is where you can see my work, and it has all my information and email and phone number. So ztouchdesign.com.
Awesome. Thanks so much for hopping on. Thanks for sharing with us. And you have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. And I can't wait to see what else you come up with. And we're going to highlight you on that, just so.
Okay. Thanks, Janine.
All right. Bye.
Bye.